borders of space and time have opened once again, and transmitting from the mountains of West Virginia, it's time once again for Let's Find Out with Diego. The universe is waiting for you.
All systems go.
On this episode of Let's Find Out, our guest is no stranger to the captivating world of the supernatural. She's a paranormal investigator, researcher, author, and founder of Elk Valley Paranormal. She has authored 5 books and is a master storyteller that delves into the unknown and explores the fascinating realm of the paranormal. All this plus more. Please welcome back to Let's Find Out our very good friend, Cyn Shrader Hill. Cyn, my friend, thank you for being on today. I'm so happy to have you back on the show.
I'm more happy to be here than you are to have me back.
Oh my goodness, thank you for saying that. It's been a while, and it's been, gosh, these 6 months since we last spoke, and of course things have changed a lot for both of us.
Right.
And I know you're very busy, and I do follow you on your socials, and I like what you're doing. It's great, you know. It's you're out there doing what you normally do, what you love to do. And that's what's important.
I am. And the more I can talk about different things that have happened, the more fun I'm having.
Yeah, you know, ultimately it is about having fun and getting the information out there, and also learning, because we're never stop learning about nobody here is an expert. I mean, if we say we are, we're fooling ourselves.
Exactly.
Because the minute you think you figure something out, somebody changes the questions, right?
Well, and they throw wrenches in there all the time. So, and I love being able to investigate with different people too. So you always find different ways to maybe use a piece of equipment or new questions to even ask. So, you get kind of bored with your own questions that, is anyone here that can talk to me? Can you tell me your name? Well, I want to know some in-depth stuff. Let's do some bigger questions. So it's always fun.
Yeah, and I think they're ready for it. And I believe what you're saying. I think they're kind of tired of the same questions themselves, like, oh, these guys again.
Yeah.
So, and I know I'm poking fun, but we all do it. It's the way it goes. And so let's talk about what recently I was just on your Facebook page, and you gave a presentation over at the Night House. And I really don't know much about that location. And I know that they also do tours there, I believe.
Right.
But can you give us a little bit of information what the house is about? What's going on there?
Sure. So my friend Eric Freeman Sims and his husband Roger bought this haunted location in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and it's the Night House. And they've got their website up. They have history tours. They have paranormal tours where you can come in as a novice and do public hunts with us, or he also has other investigators he's going to have. I've gotten to do 2 with him, so I'm sure he's bringing in somebody else too. And those were fun. And he does the history tours, I think, normally during the day, and you can just call or message him and he'll meet you there. So it's just really cool. It's he's had some groups from the Visit Hopkinsville that have sent a bunch of people in. So they toured and then sent the bus, over. So it's been kind of cool for him. And things are waking up around there. He's caught several things on video. I actually had a door open on me there. That's the one thing that's happened to me, because I'm always wanting to experience something. And my husband goes with me, and we even sleep in the master bedroom, which they caught a lot of voices, a lot of noises on their cams, but nothing has happened to me there in that room. I went to the bathroom that adjoins it, and there's 2 doors that you have to lock. There's one from the foyer and then one from the master bedroom. So the foyer has a hook so it won't open. And the master bedroom has a push lock. So I did my push lock and turned around, and it wasn't 5 seconds that door opened. So that was interesting to me. And it didn't scare me, but I was ready for something to happen to me there. And that was cool. We've seen a couple of shadows. There's a mist that a couple of the people in my group caught on their phones. So it's just interesting. It's the place was built, I believe, in 1815, and it's been through so many different add-ons. They went from one style to another, and then after all this time, there are, looking from the road, it looks like 2 stories and a basement. It's actually 5 levels. There's split levels, and it's so confusing going in one door and then seeing, a stairs going this way, and then you've got places over here. Then you go up to one level, to the landing, actually, and there's another level. You go up another level, and then you've got the attic, you've got the basement, and then it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's got the Winchester House feel to it.
It kind of does. I would love to go back there. I miss the Winchester House. Would love to go back.
And with that one, there's been several movies made out of it, of course, mostly for entertainment, because, of course, real life stuff is happening there.
Oh, yeah.
And going back to the Night House, you're talking about that it's gone through different renos and styles. Maybe that's one of the reasons why the house is being so active.
Maybe. I don't know. I think there is a lot of residual there because of everything that's happened. But then they also have like that door opening, which was weird, and a lot of things coming over the camera, which that could be residual too, but who knows? I haven't figured it out. And it's just an interesting place to go to. I know there's one spot up in the Poller that has a blood trauma area. There's no blood. You can't see blood. But I believe one of the last owners died there. And so he is believed to be kind of wandering around. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I can see that. And with the couple that purchased the home, did they tell you why they bought it? Did they buy it knowing it was haunted?
Oh yeah, they actually wanted a haunted location. It's their retirement. So I think that's a cool thing to do because they live in one area and then they've got this place and they fixed it up. You can go and look at the Night House on Facebook and see all the renovations they've done. It's amazing. I don't know how they've done it all. Cleaned up everything, and I saw yesterday they just put a mural up in the dining room. So they're all the time updating and in the same frame, leaving it looking like it would have in the day, So I love that about it.
Awesome. And, just recently you were not only where you spend the night there at the same time where you gave the presentation, or was it a different time?
No, let's see. I think that is maybe the 4th or 5th time I've gotten to spend the night there. So it's like a home away from home, and it's nice. It's comfortable. And that's one thing. You walk in and it's immediately inviting. There's nothing negative. It's just inviting. And that's what most people say when they walk in. But yeah, we spent the night, and then that next day I was speaking about signs from our loved ones, and Pat Fitzhugh was also there speaking about the Bell Witch. He's the one that knows so much about the Bell Witch. He's done 40 years of studying this case, and he's the man to ask questions to. So I loved hearing his presentation. And then we got to do a little book signing for anyone that wanted that. And then once that was over, that was 12 until 3. And then we had the public hunt, the spring hunt, that evening. So that was cool.
It sounds pretty cool. I think I'm gonna have to make myself go and take a trip. You know, it's been
Right?
so long since I've gone anywhere. I think that'd be the perfect location to start.
That would be
And
cool.
while you were there giving your presentation, you talking about contactees from past relatives
Hmm.
or loved ones. Uh, Very sensitive subject to most, I would think, because it can get kind of emotional
Hmm.
in a way. And is that something you've experienced yourself?
Yeah, I normally write scary stories, and talking about my investigations, others' investigations that I've gone with, or my friends that have come back and told me things that have happened that are reliable. And so I was used to that, the spooky side of it. And after I wrote my third book, God kind of put it in my lap. I needed to write a book on signs, and I didn't have enough for a book. And I had a story where my mother fell, hit her head. She knew she was dying. She heard awful sound when her head hit the pavement, and she broke her wrist at the time, but she heard the head hit, and in her mind, that was it. She wasn't going to make it out of this fall. And she looked up, and my grandmother, who had passed in 2002, was standing there shaking her head at her. And mom told me this about 3 days later. And I said, "You saw Nanny?" And she said, "Yep, mother was there." I said, what does she look like?" She said she looked like mother, just what we remember her as. I said, "What was she dressed in?" She said, "All white, like this white gown." I said, "Kind of like angelish?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "What did she do, Mom?" And she said, "All she did was look at me and shake her head. And I knew she meant it wasn't my time." So I had that story. I had a story where my cat actually visited me as he passed. And right after that happened, Mom called and said, "Cindy, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure Whiskers is downstairs dead." And he was, but he had visited me. So I had those two. And Mom has heard my dad taking a shower. She's heard him walking. She's heard my grandmother, Nanny, walking in the kitchen. But that's all I had. And so I reached out on Facebook for any kind of stories of loved ones coming back, even deathbed conversations. When you walk into a room and somebody's speaking to someone in the corner that nobody can see but them. And it can be somebody that's passed, maybe their mother and father. And this could be a 90-year-old person that you walked into the room. So, who are we to say that somebody's not there in the room with them? Because people are adamant when they say, "No, my mother was in the room with me. I saw her." And, things like that. Pets coming back. Uh, Signs like cardinals, pennies, feathers, uh, smelling cologne, smelling cigarette smoke, smelling a favorite cigar or pipe tobacco that somebody had, and even near death experiences. So, all of that, I was getting all kinds of stories, and the book pretty much wrote itself. So, I was writing that in 2020, and then COVID hit, and everything just stopped.
Yeah.
So I didn't write the next year. And then I started back in 2022, and I was training my nephew Wyatt to be the videographer for Elk Valley Paranormal. And so he'd been going on different investigations with us and learning what to do, what to ask, how to use the equipment, just different things. And I had started back writing the book, and we lost him the next month. So we just had his anniversary April the 6th, and that was his third year that he's been away from us. And He was my mini me. He did everything that I liked. He would do the things my husband does not like to do. So he would go to murder mysteries with me and go ghost hunting and, just different things. Go to all the author signings and take pictures. He was just my buddy, and he was the only nephew. He was the only grandson. He was my sister's only child after 5 miscarriages. And he lived to be 19 and a half. And then I guess about 3 weeks after his funeral, he had already shown up to my sister and my mom. And I was waiting for him. I was like, are you not going to show up to me? Come on. And I finally was over at my sister's house when he opened his bedroom door. And his bedroom door, you kind of had to muscle to open and close it. And it always made a noise. But when he opened it that night, it made no noise. So I don't know how that happened, but I know he opened that door. He's around a lot. He checks in with my friends a lot because I talk to them all the time, and he's just involved. But about 3 weeks after his funeral, I finally realized why God wanted me to write that book. It was because of Wyatt. And this story that I never wanted to write had to be written. And so the book is dedicated to Wyatt. And I miss him every day. Every day.
And I'm sorry you had to go through that. I really am. That nobody wants to see someone so young pass away. I mean, you never know. And,
No.
And when your loved ones pass and they stick around and maybe look after you, give you messages or anything like that, is it that they're not ready to go? Cross over, or are they waiting for somebody to then go with them? If that makes any sense? I'm not really sure how to word it correctly.
I think it can be lots of different reasons. I think they can check in when they get a second, or it's not necessarily when you really want them to check in, but it's a lot of times when you need them to check in. And you hear that special song on the radio, or a book flies open and there's a picture of them that somebody had used for a bookmark or something. And, just out of the blue, things like that have happened. It just, I think, is to give us a little hope, a little, maybe a pat on the back to get you through the day if you're having a hard one. Anything like that. But 2, I'm sure there are some that feel like they need to hang around because of maybe their family is just too devastated yet. And they feel bad for them. I know Mark, my friend Mark, that does the illustrations for my book, and he's one of my very best friends, psychic medium. And Wyatt loved him. We would go down to the beach in Pensacola and meet Mark every summer and have dinner with him. And, he would come over to the condo and we would have an evening with him and cut up. And Wyatt absolutely loved him, and his husband Morgan loved him. And I'm sure still does. But he was always checking in, and Mark would say, well, if I would call with some kind of, there's something going on, Mark, and he'd go, don't worry. Right now, Wyatt and so are with that person. They're not there to get them. They're just there for a little moral support, a little comfort. That's all. I have no doubt that when it's my time, when it's my mom's time, when it's my sister's time, Wyatt's going to be one that comes back to get us.
And I think that that's definitely going to happen because being that everybody close to him have experienced his presence after his passing, I just think it's like, I'm just going to wait for my aunt, wait for mom, and then we're going to go on our own field trip to the afterlife. I think, that's very fair to say. Now, in continuing with that line of thought with loved ones contacting the living while they're still here, vastly, is it different? Because I'm looking at my notes because I know you're writing another book coming up, Death's Doorstep, and you're talking about spirit warnings. Now, with spirit warnings, is that similar to a loved one, or are these completely different spirits we're talking about?
It can be a loved one, definitely. A lot of times we don't know who it is. I know I've had a couple of angel rescues where I should have been hurt really badly or killed. 2 wrecks. And I walked away without a scratch on me. Somebody was in the car with me. I felt them. I don't know who it was, but one was back, goodness, maybe 30 years ago. And so all of my family, all of my immediate family were all still here. So it was somebody outside the family. I don't know. Maybe I was praying because as I was going into this wreck, I knew it was going to be bad. And I immediately started praying, help me, God. Help me, Lord. Help me, Lord. Help me, Lord. And that didn't stop until my vehicle stopped. And then it was, thank you, Lord. I mean, I was like this, but it was like, thank you, Lord. Because what happened on the first one, I was behind or right next to a trailer truck, and I was in cruise control going north on I-65. The bottom dropped out of nowhere, and my car lifted up going toward the 18-wheeler and then away from it into the median, dropped down, went all the way to the other side where I could see the southbound lane's people's eyes open like, oh God, there's nothing we can do. I all I could do was hold on to the wheel and pray. And from going all the way across, somehow it came back, did a couple of 360s, went backwards toward a drop off, and I stopped about 15 feet from that drop off. Not a scratch on me, not a scratch on my car. And somebody was in there. Possibly God did send an angel when I was calling out to him. I don't know, but somebody was there.
And the way you explained it, the situation you got in, so the vehicle just lifted up, and then what would have been probably just seconds, probably felt like a lifetime. And
Exactly.
you saw the whole thing, whether fast or slow motion. There are reports that I've learned about where when people come close to the end or what they think would be the end, a lot of things play on their mind. It goes from child to the whole history of your life till now, or from now till childhood. However, I guess you could say, whatever format this information goes through your mind. What were you seeing in that time? Were you able to see anything like your whole past flash behind in front of you, or?
No, I was in that moment. I was there. I was, it was in slow motion, like you say, but not at the same time. It was surreal. I did not have any light flashing at all because I was concentrating on the vehicles around me, the people. I was scared to death for the people in the southbound lane. I was horrified for them. And I mean, I did not stop praying until I stopped. So I've gotten stories for this book, Death's Doorstep, and it's near death experiences, angel rescues like I had, and spirit warnings. So the spirit warnings are like things you get before something might happen and you decide a different path and then find out, oh, it's good I took that path because this is what happened to these people. So it's things like that. One of my favorite stories in this book coming out is from a friend of mine, not too far over in Lynchburg, around Lynchburg. And he was driving home one day. It had been raining. It was a busy road. He was going home, but he was going uphill when he lost traction and started spinning out and going across to the opposite side where an 18-wheeler was coming down the hill. So he met that thing full on, and he shouldn't have made it. There was a paramedic, coincidentally, if you can say coincidence. I don't believe in them that much anymore. This paramedic was coming onto the on-ramp and saw the accident. So when he got out of his vehicle, he was walking toward Chris. Chris had stopped. His pickup was smashed in, of course, from an 18-wheeler. It was compacted so that he was up in the right side of the cab, pushed up into the ceiling kind of, and the truck was in. He was trapped, but he never lost consciousness. And he knew he was in bad shape, but he didn't know how bad. And he saw this paramedic coming toward him, and he turned his neck just a little bit. He had broken his neck, but he turned it just slightly and locked eyes with this guy. That man started running toward him and started working on him once he got there. He was coming. They had to get the door off. It took him forever to get the door off. The windshield was shattered, but still intact. And this man walks up in a long Outback coat with a hat on, shoulder-length brown hair. And he leaned toward Chris and said, would you like for me to pray for you? And Chris said, please. And he said, okay, little brother, you're not going anywhere today. Oh. And his hand came in to touch Chris. For an hour while they worked on Chris, this man prayed and quoted scripture constantly and basically kept Chris from losing his mind in that instance. They got him out. Of course, he looked around. The guy was gone. A few months later, he had a doctor's appointment. Now, this is after several surgeries because he had 5 compound fractures in one leg, which means the bone was coming through. He had 1 compound fracture on an arm and broken pelvis. His other leg was broken in 1 or 2 places. He broke his neck. He was just broken. And so after surgeries, and all that time he had a doctor's appointment. It just so happened that the ambulance that was picking him up to take him was the same paramedic that worked on him. And so he said, "Oh, I remember you." And the guy said, "I remember you. I thought you were dead until you looked at me." And Chris said, "That's when I saw you running." He said, "Yeah." And he said, "There's something that has been bothering me, and I don't know if I can ever find out for sure, because it was on the interstate, and, people come and go from all over, from all walks of life, and I'll probably never know for sure. But that guy that was standing behind you quoting scripture and praying, I would like to find out who he was." And he said the paramedic was just staring at him. And he said, I don't understand you. And Chris said, the man that was standing behind you in the long coat, shoulder-length hair, quoting scripture, praying the entire time, he kept me from losing my mind. And the paramedic said, there was nobody else there. It was me, and then a couple of other people came running from their trucks. They had some tools with them, and they worked to get your door off. But there was nobody else there. And later, Chris was looking at his pictures, and it hit him. The guy had reached in the windshield, but the pictures showed his glass shattered, but no hole in it where somebody could reach in. So the ambulance driver asked him, he said, "Do you think that was an angel?" And Chris said, "I'm beginning to."
And with situations like that, because it's in my opinion, because if you take the biblical description of angels, it could be terrifying, because some of them, they're not that good looking,
Right.
But I believe that they could be some sort of shape shifting going on in there, to where it's easier, at least to comfort you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it normal for, let's say, individuals who have suffered some sort of accident or they're near death to remember how these beings look like?
Yeah. I mean, he explained this guy down to the last detail. And he said, Cyn, he was as solid as you and me. He was solid, and nobody else saw him. So
Ooh,
it's just amazing how
what a powerful story. I'm sorry, but
yeah,
yeah.
yes. But they show up in all shapes, sizes, even animals. They show up as animals. I had a friend that got lost in the woods and was helping a group of kids get out of the woods, and a black dog showed up. And it was at night, in the forest, and he sees this black dog and starts following him. The dog leads him out to the campground where he had been trying to find for the last couple of hours. And then the dog was gone. When he got back to camp, they asked him what had taken so long. He said, "Well, we got lost." He said, "But I followed that black dog, and someone stopped him and said, 'You saw it?'" And he said, "Well, why'd you say it like that?" And they said, "You don't know the story?" And he said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And they said, years ago, this campground was acres and acres of a man's property. He was blind, and he had a seeing eye dog, a black German shepherd. To this day, if you're lost in the woods, he'll show up and help people get out of it. Amazing.
That is amazing, and he's still on his mission to lead people out of the woods or help them. No, that's a very beautiful story, because I'm a big
I love
animal
it.
person and, dog person, cat. But,
Mhm.
going back to something you said earlier during the interview, talking about sometimes your pets do come back or pay a visit. I've had that experience myself just about a year and a half ago when I had to take my dog to the vet. And, of course, I had to make the unfortunate decision of putting her to sleep. It never gets easy. It's always
No,
very emotional, but every once in a while, and she was a white dog, a hound, and sometimes I'll see her jump on my bed and
oh,
say hi a little bit and disappear. But the reason I said, well, I'm not imagining because it's the white dog, and you can feel them as if we're really there in flesh and blood, and I'm
mhm.
thankful that every once in a while she stops by and says hi to me.
Absolutely.
It's very nice. And with how close are you now to finishing your latest book?
It's very close. I have one more story to edit, and I've already got the artwork for it. Um, it's my favorite cover so far that Mark has done. It's a little different from the other ones, and it's my favorite. I love it. Um, I'm expecting it to be finished in the next 3 weeks, so that's awesome. And then I can work on the signs book, because what happened was I was doing that sequel to the signs book, and it had all the near death experiences in it as well. But I was getting so many near death experiences this time, I thought I would break it up. So the signs book is coming out, that's going to be the feathers and cardinals and cologne smells and deathbed conversations, visions and dreams, even seeing your loved one pop in, things like that. So that one will be next. And I've got all the stories for it. I've just got to edit it and it will be done. So that's a good thing.
No, no, it is. It's amazing. And as I said earlier, I've been watching you. Watching you sounds like a troll. No, let me take that back. I've been following you on your socials, and I've been seeing a lot what you've been doing. Um, Between the signings and the writing the books and the presentations. Now we come to the part where Elk Valley Paranormal, you still doing your investigations, correct?
Right, right. Done,
I don't know
not
how
so
you find the
much,
time.
not so much Elk Valley right now, because when Wyatt died, it kind of took the joy out of that for me, because I was training him for that group. So we still do have a group, and I've gotten some new members from it, but we just haven't gotten to do so much. I've been going to actually get myself back into it. After Wyatt died, I had to start going to a few public hunts and going with friends to different things to ghost hunt and get back in it like that. So, Elk Valley Paranormal, it's still around, and we're working on getting a few things together, but it just hasn't happened yet, but it will.
Right. And we're talking about the public hunts that you were going in. Where have you been?
Let's see, Brushy Mountain. We went to, and that was actually the group that I usually go with. So not a public one, but the last public one I went to was over in Pulaski last month at Antoinette Hall, which is an old opera house. So Regina, my friend, and Lee were actually putting this on. Lee didn't get to come. He didn't feel good, but I got to meet up with Regina again. So that was fun. And it was a cool place. It was, I mean, I can see where going into this opera house back in the day would have been amazing. That place would have been drop dead gorgeous, just beautiful. And the thing is, the previous owners to the place didn't even know it was up there. They never went upstairs to the business that they owned to see what was in the attic part. Well, that's where this old opera house was. And Oh man, it's just elaborate, even though it's unfortunately past its prime, needs a lot of work and renovation, but the fact that it was there that whole time and could have been seen is amazing to me. I don't understand how somebody had it for so many years and never even looked to see what was in the attic.
Maybe they weren't brave enough to go in the attic. Sometimes people get creeped out by attics.
And
And yeah.
it was a you had to go outside of the location, go up the stairs to an outside door to get into it. So maybe, they were just thinking, it's just a storage area or whatever. But I would have been a little bit curious to go see what was up there. I mean, there
I
was
would have been too. Yeah, of course.
yeah. There was an old lawyer's office in there, an old, I think, dentist office on one side. But going through the straight hallway, it opens up into this it's a massive opera house.
And it just got lost in time, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible to me how that can
And,
happen.
and during the time that you were there, did you get to communicate with anything, capture anything go on that day or night?
Nothing distinctive. We heard a few rustlings away from us when we were sitting, trying to hear some. My friend Daniel went with me, and Daniel Cahoon. So we were upstairs after everybody had left, and we could hear every once in a while something. The energy when everybody was still there, it was like you go into a room and you feel it at first, and then nothing. It's like the spirits are going, oh, here they come, I'm going into this other room right now. So when the all that finished and people were allowed to kind of go on their own, me and Daniel went back to where we kept having our eyes drawn back to the dressing room and the prop room on the main floor. There was a prop room in the basement too, which was a little spookier, but that prop room on the second floor is what Daniel and I kept being drawn to. So it was just, the energy was different. You could just feel it.
And that location is just open to the public, or is one of those is you have to really know the owners to actually get in there?
You have to know the owners. They do rent it out to paranormal teams. I had never been able to go because of different times, and this happened to be a time I could go, and I was so excited. And my friend Regina was going to be there, so it was just a win-win situation for me, and it was a fun night.
And did it have the same vibes as the night house inviting? Was it a little? It was a little more off-putting, do you think, or?
It was a little more, I don't want to say stilted, like they were looking down on us, but it was more like they were, the ones at the opera house were just more standoffish. It wasn't as walking into the night house. You just feel at ease instantly. It's just a nice house that you're walking in. The opera house, I felt staring. I felt being watched. So there was that kind of tension kind of in the air.
And do you think you'll be going back?
If Regina does another one, maybe. I just might have to.
That'd be great, because when I bring you back later this year, we're going to talk all about your experience at the opera house, of course. Now that you're coming close to releasing the book, are you going to be doing any events for this year? More presentations, more book signings?
Yes. As soon as I get this book done, I'll have a local book signing at the bookstore here. And then I'll be, let's see, in September, I will be, and I found it while we were talking, it's the Creep Show 2025. It's Saturday, September the 20th at Greenwood Happy Haunts. And it's with the middle-aged and creeped out podcast guys. So I get to speak with Austin Lawrence, who is also a buddy of mine, an author, a documentarian. He's working on films right now. He's amazing, simply amazing. So he's speaking, and I get to speak. So I'm excited I fangirl when I meet these podcasters. Like if I met you, I'd be fangirling, going, "Oh my gosh!
Oh my goodness!
You in person? Oh my gosh!"
It would be the other way around here too.
No.
So be fans of each other, because I do the same thing when I go to some of these events and network. I was like, "Oh, I listened to your show," or, "Oh, I read your books." You're kind of like, "Okay, let's be professional."
No, I just go, "Whoa!" I'm just so excited. I don't care if it's professional or not.
That's okay. I do the same thing. I tell myself, just calm down. I was like, "No, I love you. Will you be on my podcast?" They're like, "Yeah." No, but it's a lot of fun. That's what we do. We network. We get to learn about each other's stories and experiences, and we get to share those also, not only on the podcast, but in your books as well. And now that, we're halfway through the year already. I know you've been very, very busy. For the listeners of Let's Find Out that want to learn more about you, your books, your experiences, and if they have their own experiences that they want to let you know about, how can they contact you?
Sure. So my books are on Amazon. There's 5 right now, soon to be 6, and they're in paperback and Kindle versions. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read them free. So that's always a help. You can reach me on Facebook, Cyn Shrader Hill author. Elk Valley Paranormal is also on Facebook. And my website, elkvalleyparanormal.com, you can go see evidence I caught. I've got to upload new evidence to update that. And I, been working on the books and editing other people's books. So I've kind of slacked on that. But I'll get back to updating the website. If you have a story and you want for me to possibly include it in another book, I would love to hear from you. You can write me at Cyn Shrader Hill author @gmail.com.
Awesome. And for the links and all your socials, I'll put that in the show description. That way they know exactly how to get a hold of you, where to download your books. And, it's just, learn more about you. You're an amazing person. I love having you on the show. And of course, I would love to have you back on later this year, because I know that you're going to go out there and do some exploring. You're going to make contact. You're going to catch a lot of things. I want you to come back. Just let us know all about it.
Twist my arm. Okay, I'll do it. I'm there.
Done. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm really looking forward to having you back later this year.
Thank you so much for having me. Always love talking to you.
Love talking to you. Thank you, my friend.
Copyright Diego the Podcaster. All content for Let's Find Out is the property of Diego the Podcaster and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, Diego the Podcaster, or Let's Find Out. The information shared on Let's Find Out with Diego is provided on an as-is basis, with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.